Hi, I'm Lauren, a mom, former teacher turned children's book author, and your host who joins special guests each episode as we share our top kid-lit picks for sparking hard conversations the easy way. Yep, that means everything from tackling bullying and out of control anger to celebrating diversity, inclusion, and leading with kindness, plus so much more. My whole mission of my own children's book series, Blooming Rose, is to provide social and emotional support tools for in and out of the classroom, and this podcast is my way to expand that mission even further. So stay tuned as we dive into this week's topic on the Bloomy Books podcast. So, hello. We are here with a special podcast swap episode with my friend and mama advocate, Kendahl Yanez from the Mama You're Doing Great podcast. So, Kendahl, thank you so much for graciously being with us today. Can you start by telling us a little bit more about yourself, your kiddos, and your mission behind supporting and uplifting mamas in our area?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a mama too of a 7-year-old boy, Lane Ryan, and a 4-year-old girl, Tilden. And I been married for 9 years. I'm a dental hygienist by the daytime and a podcaster and event planner by all the other in between times. And
By midnight.
yeah, exactly. And just a regular mom was trying to survive motherhood and life in general. And I started Mom, You're Doing Great, I guess almost 3 years ago, just really for therapy for me and what I needed.
So how old
And
were your kids? Sorry to interrupt, but how old were your kids when you
yeah,
started that? When you were like, okay, I need some other mamas in the trenches with me?
yeah. So a little background. So my 7-year-old, 7 years ago, I had my first child and I hit postpartum around his 6 months. It was like an way after. I was like, wait, what's going on? I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I've definitely lost myself. Went to therapy and all that. And then when I had my second one in 2020, I really was like, I want to do something more for moms and just to help build a community of moms that uplift each other no matter what we do differently. Like I did not breastfeed and so many of my friends did. And it was like, okay, like we support each other, but there's so many out there like don't support each other in like you do it differently than me, like that's wrong. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's no right or wrong way to mother, we just all do it different. And so that was really how and why I started Mommy Doing Great. I started the podcast, I guess, when my daughter turned 2. And
Okay.
then the community kind of trickled right after that. And so yeah, so when she was 18 months, that's when I kind of was like, I'm gonna start this, I'm gonna do it. My husband was like, all right, let's go for it. And it, started as a hobby and it's still hobby slash business because
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Like everyone thinks, oh, business is boring or, you don't like it. And I'm like, I love it. Like this brings me so much joy. It's a calling from God. I really believe that in my heart that He has pushed me to take the sufferings and struggles that I've had in motherhood and just be an open vessel for other moms to feel and to be seen and to know that they're not the only ones going through what they're going through. And so, yeah, so I have weekly episodes just with other moms just like me and you, just sharing our struggles and our stories through motherhood and to be able to help another mom know that they are not the only one or their child is not the only one. Like you hear it all the time, like I'm failing, like why did my kid do this or why I could have done this differently. And it's like we all could, you right? Like
Mm-hmm.
each day is a new learning lesson. And so I just really love to bring moms together. We do Mama's Night Out. I just did my first conference in February and
Yes.
I loved it. And I'm going to do it again because it just helps so many moms. And that's why I am doing this.
Yeah, it was a great conference. I'll get to that in just a second. But I feel like it just takes one person to be that courageous and open and honest to step forward and say, hey, I'm struggling. Like, who else is with me? And then there's just so many people that are going to kind of flock to that, and say, oh, I felt like this too.
Absolutely.
And, it's just the connection and the uplifting, feel that you have, like good vibes only, right? Like we don't have time for haters or people that want to be judgmental or, especially when you have your first baby, nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's figuring it out, but everybody wants to give you so much advice on how to make having a newborn be convenient. And at the end of the day, having a newborn is the definition of inconvenience. Like everything you've known in your life up until now is going to be made more inconvenient with a newborn. And it's how you want to pick your inconveniences, and
Mhm.
what works for your family. And there's no right or wrong answer for that. And so I love that message. So I'd like to first get into some silly and random rapid fire questions just to lighten the mood before we're going to dive into our heavier topic in a minute. But Kendahl, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
So number one, what is your favorite destination that you've traveled to?
Cabo.
Cabo. I
Love
I've
it.
never been. I've been to the Bahamas, but I've never been anywhere Mexico, and I feel like I'm missing out. I mean,
Oh, Cabo's
what's
so
not
fun.
to
I think
like
I've been like
about
4 or 5 times.
yeah, what's not to like? Okay, number two, are you the left brain or the right brain in your relationship? Because like I said before, opposites always marry each other and balance each other out,
Uh-huh.
maybe.
Okay, which way is which way? Uh,
So one is
I'm the outgoing.
like the creative, free spirit, outgoing type, and the other one is more of the like logistical, um, not type A, I guess, but type B would it be,
Okay, I'm type A for
Yeah.
sure. For
And
sure. My husband's type B.
yeah, he just like you just go do your own thing and I'll be here.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Um, what is the last concert or performance you've been to or anything at the rodeo? Rodeo's on in Houston right now, which is, all the talk of the town.
Yeah, so we've been to the rodeo twice, but never went to the concerts.
Already this year
Yeah,
or
like
just
we're
in
both
general?
no, this year. We're big in the committees. And
Oh
so
yeah.
my husband was actually there 5 times last week.
Oh my gosh.
And
What
I've already
committee is
done
he
my
on?
committee. He's on ranch rodeo and hospitality, and I'm on parade committee.
Okay, cool.
So
Yeah, my
yeah.
husband was on the chicken committee one time, but he got fired
Oh,
from that.
okay.
He was supposed to sell sponsorships or something like that, and
And then
he was not good
it's
at
so
that.
hard. I know. And each committee is different. But concert probably is, yeah, I guess in the fall we went to see Parker McCollum in the Woodlands.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Zach Brown Band's playing on next Thursday, which I wanted to kind of go see him too. But they have all
Yes.
kinds of concerts at the rodeo. All
So
different
good.
genres. Okay, so now we're going to jump into our topic of the episode. What we're chatting about today is how we face and react to challenges as mamas and papas and teachers and caregivers, and how important modeling and regulating your own behavior is for our kids to observe and learn from as well. So we mentioned that you just hosted an amazing conference that created a welcoming and judgment-free zone for mamas to come together and support one another. And I know a big thing we talk about is the mom guilt, right? And so
Hmm.
I know you've talked to a lot of moms on your podcast and with the conference and all the work that you're doing with our community. Would you say that, maybe losing tempers, reacting in the heat of the moment, and kind of being regretful about that after the fact, is that a challenge that you think a lot of mamas are facing?
Oh yeah, and it is a temperature, right? It's
Yeah.
like I am like on fire. Um, yes, for sure. I think that is a huge one because we feel like we failed.
Hmm.
We lost our cool and we don't know how to come back from it because I think our biggest fear as parents is what will our kids remember us as?
Yeah.
For me, for instance, and I know I talk to so many other moms, is so it's like if we're in a habit of losing our cool, even if we come back and apologize, will they remember us as hot tempered, always angry, always mad, frustrated? And so, me personally, I know I'm the biggest critic of myself in that, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like in my head, I'm like frustrated, but I'm like, think I'm like being cool, but I'm like, they'll probably see that I'm not being cool.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I just want to, what do I want my kids to remember me as? And so I think my biggest weakness is the fear of, instead of like focusing on the moments that we have and the good moments and the lesson learning that we're giving our kids and learning from ourselves and showing them that we're learning and we're not perfect and all things. So that's really is a big struggle that I think even as dads, I
Yeah.
think we struggle with that.
Yeah, I remember telling my friends sometimes too, because we're worried about this, with our kid is doing this, or our kid is doing that, or are we doing enough for this and enough for that? And I said, guys, I can tell you coming from like the public school classroom, like if you care, then you're doing it right. You know, like I've
Mm-hmm.
seen, unfortunately, so many situations where the parents just don't give a shit. They're not involved. You know, their kid's failing or their kid doesn't even show up to school and, you know, all those things. So just the fact that you're caring and you're open and you're honest with your kids, I think that's the feeling that the kids are going to remember. You know, they're going to remember like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, mom yelled and lost her cool, but she was also there for me to, you know, apologize and to be there and to go have fun and, you know, all the other things too. So I think they remember probably more positive experiences than we think, even though we think that one
I think
negative
so.
experience is going to be like ingrained in their memory forever. But
And
um,
I think it goes to like switching that too is like
mm-hmm,
sometimes I'm like feel like I'm in the trenches of just like constantly like redirecting and getting onto and all these things. And I'm like, we talk to the grandparents and they're like, they are like, no, you didn't do that. I'm like, you don't remember. Like
yeah,
they only remember the good. And I'm like, why did you take us on vacation? Like we were so ungrateful. Like I know we were because our kids are ungrateful. And she's like, you just don't remember that. Like you
yeah,
only remember the good about the vacation. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good to know. Cause I'm like,
yeah.
did we even have fun on that vacation?
They might not remember the car ride there where everyone's just like sitting in silence, aggravated with each other from packing the car and running late. But like once you get to the beach, they're like, okay, woo, we're at Cabo. I don't remember anything
Yeah,
else. Who cares? You know?
exactly.
I mean, I'm definitely not always proud of how I lose my patience and react in the challenging moments, but that also means that I'm really good at, um, you know, apologizing and owning it, especially to my kids. And we talked a little bit about this on your podcast episode as well. But you have to show them that respect. You have to show them that you're not perfect and they're not expected to be perfect either. So I know you
Hmm.
speak about granting grace to ourselves and, you know, normalizing mistakes is really part of that too, don't you think?
Oh, big time, big time. I mean, you have to in order to receive the grace.
Yeah.
Just accepting, you know what, I was not good in that moment, and that's okay. Like, I'm going to learn from that, or what did I learn from that? And trying to figure out how can I do better next time.
Mhm.
But it's okay that I did. I'm not a horrible person, a horrible mom, a horrible wife because I did that. So you have to accept it and figure that out in order to accept and receive the grace yourself.
Because you want to model that for your kids too. Not only do you want to be a happier parent, you know, and less stressed about having living up to your own perfection expectations, but you also don't want your kids to think, oh, I have to be perfect parents as well, you know, because it ain't gonna
Right.
happen. I don't know. I don't care who you are.
Not.
It ain't gonna happen.
Exactly.
So it's okay to find some things more challenging than others. And we also compare to other kids or mamas even, and really taking that time to put in the work, practice, and patience, you know, to achieve um, a less stressful situation, I guess. But all right. So I know I'm biased, but I feel books, children's books in particular, are really a magical way to relate kids to a concrete character that they can see and feel and react in situations that might be similar to things that they're experiencing in the real world,
Mhm.
knowing they're not alone and feeling a certain type of way. So now we're going to share our book picks about facing challenges. So can you share a little bit about your book pick?
Yeah, so, I really, really love your book. Like, it
Oh,
really has like, that would have been even if, like, you were not asking me, that would have been one of my, that I would have picked because
oh, thank
of
you.
the chat. It really relates to my son.
Hmm.
Um, very defeated on, I might not be able to do this, doesn't wanna get in front of the classroom because he might fail, like, um Rose and Lane are very alike. And
Yeah.
so, but then once they tried it, they were like on fire and so proud of themselves. And it didn't matter if they got first or last place, like they did it. They're proud of the struggle that they overcame. So that is one of my favorite
Oh,
books. And
thank you.
I really try to take whatever book um I do with my kids, and I really try to ask them like, okay, what was the moral of the story? What did we learn? And anything that I see that, in the book that we can relate to something that's going on in our personalities, our lives, or whatever. I really try to intersect. This is another one that I like. I got it. My mom actually gave it to Children when she was born.
Oh, I haven't
And
seen that one.
oh, it's really cute. And it's like just a poem, and
Mhm.
it talks about the challenges that you'll go through in life. The narrow path, the beautiful day, but then the rain might start pouring, and the winter and the leaves and fall leaves change colors and all that. But it's like the life roller coaster. But it's like, child, take heart, because God gave you a purpose in life. And as you get older, your purpose might change, but there is a reason why you're here on this earth, and you can get through it and you can change the world. Another one that we talked about with the Joanna Gaines book,
Yes.
You're Made to Be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of the same thing. It's like we're all different. We all have, we learn differently, we look differently, we have a purpose in this world. And when we work together and we lean on each other, we can really make a beautiful change. So
Yeah.
I love those books. I love anything that can just show them that they have a purpose. It's okay to be who you are, and to stick with that. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, and learn from your weaknesses, but really hold on to your strengths because God gave them to you for a reason.
Yeah, and I love that it kinda sounds like it I mean, I was gonna talk about the Joanna Gaines too, I'll mention that one in a minute, but, like, how the book year the first one, what is it called? My Child or Take Heart, My Child?
Take heart, my child.
How it almost is like finding gratitude and pride in the challenges, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
a really important, like, perspective to take because you're gonna have challenges and you're gonna have obstacles, and sometimes when I'm doing author visits, I'll tell them, like, at the end, we're talking about the story. I'm like, "Are you really proud of yourself?" Like, if I'm talking to second graders, I'm like, "Are you really proud of
Mm-hmm.
yourself, like, when you say the ABCs?" And they're like, "Well, no, like, that's easy," you know? I'm like, "Right,
Uh-huh.
but are you really proud of yourself when you can do, like, X, Y, and Z?" You know? They're like, "Well, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's more challenging." I'm like, "You're gonna feel that sense of pride and that sense of gratitude about learning and experiencing that on things that are challenging sometimes, you know?" And so I love that that one is that a rhyming cadence book? Like it's a you said it's a poem?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
rhyming? I almost ventured into writing rhyming books, but, that's a
Mm-hmm.
whole other like the meter of it and that's a whole other thing that I'm
Oh,
not
I'm sure it's
skilled
so
in, but
challenging.
I love it. Like, I appreciate that one so much, and that is like the Joanna Gaines one. I have this one right here. Um, if I do show the video of this podcast, I'm not sure. But I love that the Joanna Gaines books, like, it's called The World Needs Who You Were Made to Be. And they all have this project about making their hot air balloon. And it's about how they all go about it differently. They all have different strategies. Some are left brain, some are right brain, some are logistical about it, some are creative about it. And at the end, you just see this sea of beautiful hot air balloons that are all different. And I love how it kind of just pulls in together that our differences are unique and beautiful and the gift that we have, the strengths and the passions that we bring to this world. So I do love that one too. So also we mentioned my own book, Bloom and Rose Blast Off. And so no, I don't just promote my own book on every episode, but since we are talking about facing challenges and recognizing the strengths and weaknesses in ourselves, here we are. So in this story, it's about our main character, Rose, and she has a rocket launcher project that's due and she's just not feeling too jazzed about it. She doesn't know where to start. Science is just not her thing. And she has to learn that it's okay to try. It's okay to not be perfect at everything on the first time. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to ask for help. And that sense of pride you get at the end when you are able to accomplish something. Spoiler alert, but when you are able to accomplish it, you know. Um, and I
And
also
I
wanted to
think
mention,
it's
mhm.
I was just gonna say, like, it's so hard, as for me anyways, like I struggled in reading in school, and I was just more like, I'm social butterfly, not a big deal. And so like now that I'm older, like I'm like interested in the challenge and I want to strive, and I'm a hard worker and high achiever. And it's like I see like some traits in my kids that I'm like, no, like don't be like me how I was, it's like, but it's like also like God also chose me to be their mom for a reason, but I also can't change who they are. I can only help them and guide them and teach them, like you're saying, like you might be more creative or you might be more logistical, like, and it's okay. Like there's no
Mhm.
right or wrong way. Um, just loving who we are and loving our kids for who they are and just trying to teach them and guide them through life is really a challenge, but it's so
It's a challenge,
important,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because even with my two kids are vastly different. My son is
Yes.
now 5, and the older he gets now, the more his personality traits are coming out, and his challenges and, what he reacts to might be completely different than my daughter's. And so again, as moms, we
Mm-hmm.
feel all this mom guilt. Oh, did I do this right? Or I did this wrong? Well, it might have worked for your first child, but that might not be what's best for your second child in that situation or
Yeah.
whatever. So like, it's always a learning curve, and you have to treat it with patience and grace. And, those are attributes that are a little bit harder to lean into. But,
Yeah, for sure.
all right. So there's a couple of other books I do want to talk about too, just really quickly. I couldn't pick just one more. So this one is Aaron Slater Illustrator. It's by Andrea Beatty, and the illustrator is David Roberts. I love this team. They've teamed up. They have a whole series on different classmates and like their leaning into their traits and strengths and weaknesses and what they might be. Um, when they get older. And so Aaron is dyslexic. And so he's faced with, he has so many stories to tell, but he has such challenges reading them. And so it's about how he learns to hone in on, the creative and the artistic and the illustrations to tell his story. And so I love this book. I love all of her books, but this one in particular about leaning into really what makes you unique and what works for you. And there's
Mm-hmm.
also another great book by Lauren Emerson called Smudges. It's not out yet, but I did get an advanced copy, and it's about a girl who writes left-handed and all the challenges and differences she feels about that and how she shifts her perspective on being unique. All of those things that we try to compare ourselves to students in the classroom, and you feel different and you think that's like a negative thing, but really how to see your challenges and finding the gratitude and the perseverance to turn it into something that's unique and fun and positive, that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
different from somebody else. So
Yeah, for
all of those
sure.
books, we will have them linked in the show notes and on our podcast page of our website. So even as parents, though, we acknowledge and learn to appreciate our own strengths and weaknesses and learn what battles are worth fighting, so some of the challenges that they might feel, we just kind of have to let them sort it out or learn how to shine on their own.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it is hard. But so with every episode, I also highlight at least one SEL resource, which is a social emotional learning resource, character building resource that pairs well with one or all of the books we discussed. And it's available on our Teachers Pay Teachers page, which will also be linked in the show notes. This week, we have our unique explorations activity from our Blooming Rose Blast Off bundle. So that really lets kids think and ponder on their own personality with questions about their likes and dislikes, strengths and weaknesses. And then they get to flip the script and find students or friends or family members that have differing responses as them. So it's just a great way to show and normalize how we're all different and how that's a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I also like to take a minute at the end of each episode to share our hashtag one of the week, because none of us are perfect mamas, right? So we're going to celebrate what went right. So Kendahl, is there a situation you've been in lately where you really felt you had a breakthrough moment, like as a mom or even as an entrepreneur, like hosting your own conference for the first time or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a win for me because I
Mm-hmm.
finally did it. So I just think because I struggle with feeling like I struggled in school and I'm kind of seeing like, challenges with my children in school. And my biggest thing is I just want them to love school.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want them to try and trying to teach them that they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be great in everything, even though they want to be and they don't understand, like, well, he can read better than me or she's better at the math than me or whatever. And it's like,
Right.
it's okay. Like, don't compare and trying to teach them is so hard. You just want to shake them and you want to like just put everything that you learn in life into them. And it's like, but you also have to teach them a little bit, but they also have to learn on their own. And it's just such a challenge. And so last week, my son got in the car and he was like, Mom, I had the best day ever. And I was just like, what? What happened? And he's like, I did my best. And my teacher said she was so proud of me because I was just trying. And, I didn't get everything right, but I was trying. And I was just like, that was so rewarding because I was like, okay, he's getting it. Like, he's listening to what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say to him and what I'm trying to teach him. And so, it's just like, okay, we're doing something right. We're teaching because in the moment, sometimes we feel like we're just talking to a wall. Like, are we getting through to them? And so when they have that breakthrough moment and they're actually listening, it's so powerful and it's just a mom win.
Yeah.
And so it's something to be celebrated.
Sometimes we have to sow those seeds and then wait for them to grow a little bit to be like, oh, okay, it is
Yes.
sinking in a little bit. But yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
awesome. So, okay.
Yeah.
Also, before we go, can you tell us where we can connect with you online, listen to your podcast, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So mommyou'redoinggreat.com has everything like links with my podcast, how to join the community. I do a weekly encouragement text to my mom. So if you want to sign up, go to the website. And also I hang out on Instagram a lot. I do real just encouragement, get on my stories, tell funny mom stories, real life relatable. That's a huge thing to me. And then
Mm-hmm.
joining my free Facebook group is just full of moms that come on and just ask for advice. It's all positivity, uplifting, but real and relatable too. Like you come
Yeah.
on, you're like, hey, I'm struggling with this, because that's real. But if you don't have anything nice to say, don't comment. And
Yeah.
so I'm really big on just building community, but also building each other up because we're our worst critics for ourselves. We don't need anyone else critiquing us.
No,
So
we got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that too, the idea about the Facebook group, because it might just be that one, like you're struggling with something because you are kind of pinholed into one way of thinking. And if you,
hmm
can present it to a group of mamas like that, they'll be like, oh, just do this. And you're like, oh, okay. Like that one little outreach might really change your whole day or your whole situation. And, just knowing that you have a group of ladies that are here to help and support each other.
Yeah.
I love that. It's really important. So,
Yes,
all
for
right.
sure.
Well, that is a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you again, Kendahl, for being our guest. And I'm looking forward to joining you on your podcast soon as well. So you'll have to check out both of those episodes. I hope you all have gained a couple of helpful nuggets for guiding yourself and your kids through some of life's more challenging moments. Thanks for listening to the Blooming Books podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Blooming Books podcast, recorded and produced by Blooming Rose Kids. We've opted to keep our series ad-free, and if you'd like to support our efforts, please consider shopping our own custom-signed Blooming Rose books at bloomingrosekids.com and our academic materials on our Teachers Pay Teachers page. All of the books mentioned in this episode are also available via our affiliate links in the show notes. We so appreciate you being here and hope to see you next time.